my name is Karita Sharma and I'm a Christian. I make videos about Jesus, and today I'm going to share a story, and at the end of the story I'm going to tell you what all of this is about. Is I grew up in a Christian family. Around 3 I remember us going to the church. I loved it so much. Was always excited to go, and I remember this one time when I was in Sunday school for kids. This old lady would be so mean. We were learning about Samson, and I remember her condemning Delilah so hard and ignoring Samson's faults. For some reason, I remember her wagging her finger at me, at us, and being so upset. I was so scared, man. Then after that, I don't remember why, but I went with the adults. As a kid, we were Sunday Christians, so we listened to secular music all the time. Once we were going to church and they started playing Adele's Rolling, a song. Okay, Adele's Rolling in the Deep, and I was like, yay, let's go. And my grandparents would go with us, and my mom was so uncomfortable, and I was like, what's wrong? And she's like, they aren't supposed to be singing secular music in a church. And I was like, why not? She didn't really have an answer beside, that's just not how. And then we left the church. My grandpa caught something in the sermon he must not have liked, so we left. We never went back to another church. I never understood, but I was so young that I was like, let's go play with the toys, yay! Speaking of, around that age, my dad's dad died. So I would go with him to clean out his place, and he had a nativity set. So I would play with my grandpa's nativity set, and I call them God toys. Once I felt like Jesus showed up, and I looked behind me and felt like I saw him behind me. But when I looked, he wasn't there. But yes, I was a content young Christian, so innocent. And then I went to public secular school, and we never really did much. We were just Christian. Then I had friend drama, blah blah blah. then they sent me to a Christian private school, hoping it would be better. But the cliques were abhorrent, and they were really religious. And in fourth grade, this preacher came and for some reason pointed at me and asked me my favorite color. I said black. And he went all solemn witch trials on me. And I was like, no. he, he said, how dare you like such a satanic color? And I was so embarrassed. My best friend at the time was sitting next to me, and she was equally horrified. I was taken out the next year and went to Montessori Academy for 2 weeks. I fought with my mom because they taught evolution and not creation, and begged my mom. Okay, I fought with my mom and I begged my mom to not send me there, but she didn't listen. But then she pulled me out of there anyways, because the school had just opened, and it really shouldn't have. Okay, the school wasn't really ready. So there was like five. So there was like my first witness moment. I went back, a new girl came, kind of became besties with my best friend. So there was drama for 2 years until my parents decided they could not afford the school, and it wasn't with it. So I went to MGLVA and K12 school. I don't know why, but my faith was non existent the first year. Maybe because I was with my mom all the time and I was getting into deeper secular stuff. But my mom used to pray with me, forgiveness prayers with. Okay. But my mom used to pray with me, forgiveness prayers with me before going to bed. But I think she dropped it. and then she let me pray alone. So that I started my please forgive me for my sins and like save the world prayer. I never did more than that. We never went back to church. Mom was relieved, I think, when I church bombed. She only went out of obligation, and when my grandparents stopped going too, she never had an inkling to go back. Even when I was at the Christian school, they would drill us on where we went, and I always sort of lied and was like, oh yeah, oh my last church. Okay, so basically she lied about going to church, like dodged where they were going and stuff. Then entered the dark days, the teenage depression and angst, where I began to get into deep spiritual darkness, spiritual lust, body obsession. Then I started doing yoga. Dark, dark, dark. Death, death, death. 2020 happened, and I got back in touch with my friend, the very best friend I mentioned with the colors scandal a few next. And she mentioned her church. I had another friend from elementary school, and I would hang out with her, and her parents went there. So I spent the night in Saturday. Okay, so I spent the night in Saturday. I would go with them early Sunday. So I knew of the church my old bestie went to, and would watch online during COVID. So it was a seed in my mind, and was really depressed. I was really depressed still, and it got worse because 2020 was junior year. I was stuck at home during COVID with my family, and I was going crazy. I was online, so I never stopped doing my school, but my college got cancelled and I went physically. I was enjoying myself there, had lots of freedom, and I had two major crushes on those boys in my philosophy classes. The last day I went, I felt so free. I didn't realize it, but the professor cancelled the class and didn't send anything. And my friend's friend came in and very comedically told us about the cancelled class very comedically, and I laughed and turned, and my first crush was looking back, and we locked eyes and smiled and at the same time. So my my heart was like soon. um how how do you pronounce that? Anyway, it's SWOONY. But yeah, the lust problems. Then I had this NF song from this search album, where he was like, last year I was suicidal, maybe this year I'll try something new like talking to God. Maybe off on the lyrics, but my brain was like, I had never thought my mental struggles could be helped by God, or that I could talk to God about it. It was summer, and then I had been wanting to go to church with my friend, and she was like, come to youth group. And I wanted to do anything to please God, so I could be like uh, fixed, and that I could align with my parents' ideals, because I knew my parents shared similar things that the church did. Long story short, I went 3 times to the youth group, saw my friends worshipping, and I couldn't believe how they cared. But the third time it was baptism, and the person I mentioned who became besties with my besties at school when I left for 2 weeks. Yeah, we have always had a rivalry. She came to the church, and I was looking for a seat, and I couldn't find one. I was excluded, I was so embarrassed and humiliated. So I never went back, and school was starting again, senior year. So I decided that was more important. But I started reading the Bible instead of the youth group. I watched that church online and yep, I prayed the salvation prayer every day. Sorry, every week. Then got in Christian TikTok. Then I got hooked on Christian TikTok. Then got burnt by Christian TikTok. Then I saw Naga's TikToks. Then he mentioned Etsy, now CC, the hidden Christian community, and felt like God wanted me to join, and I denied it for a month. But before I joined, and then I met you, me. Of course, this was I think later in 2021. I read the Bible once. Okay, I read the Bible once before I joined Courageous Christian. It's a group. It's a Discord group. So I knew I needed Christian friends, but in early 2021 my relationship with my friend blew up. So I had no one. But then I met you, LOL, and now I'm here. And you is me, how sweet. Now I'm here. So I don't have like the I was saved date. That freaks people out, even me for a bit. It was quite a fluid journey. And about being born again experience, um, I don't know. I don't remember the day. Just like remember all the sudden following him and feeling alive. But as a kid, when I was 3, especially with the nativity toys scene, that was the moment I think. But then I got straight away, and God restored me, and now I'm back in His arms. I'm one of those kids like Isaac David and Joe, the Christian guy, bro. If you watch their testimonies, they were like, "Yeah, I was 5 when I gave my life to Jesus." Me, like I was there. So I was really, really young. Like I was born again when I didn't even know what that meant. God was always there. I just didn't follow Him 24/7, and I was afraid for it. I was afraid for child. This is it. My parents couldn't have me for ages, then they did, so I am like a Samson or Samuel child. So maybe that's why God is like, yup, mine. And at 3, I was like, what else after Jesus, but not knowing what I was doing. One thing, and there are many ways God changed me. As a teen, I walked around seething at big friend groups and stuff. Now in public, I skip around like I'm walking in the sunshine, woo, and I'm like, how can I love someone? Pays attention to everyone's moments, all the details, and then the should I evangelize to that person that kicks in. Yeah, so about what are the things that God later on delivered me from, and so one of those things are uh, at my time, during the time I was at MGLVA, my closest friend was gay, then bi, then pan, then came out as non-binary, etc. So I got really deep into that kind of stuff and liberalism. That said friend asked me out 3 times and always said sensual stuff about me during those said asked out moments. I was so confused. I had never liked girls or anything, but each time I became more and more tempted to say yes. But I didn't want an online romantic relationship, so I said yes. And then girls asked me out, and I was so confused because guys never did. Guys never flirted with me, girls did. And I was like, am I unlikable to men? So I started considering it a bit, especially with that one friend and I would have dream attacks of said friend trying to kiss me and stuff. If we hung around, so I always dodged us hanging out. Sorry, yes, so I always dodged us hanging out. And in college, as I mentioned, I had two crushes. Then the one I had mentioned, I would just stare at, had a huge crush, but I genuinely like him. The other, me and my friend were walking in once, and he was walking behind us and was just staring at me. I felt someone staring, and when I looked back, I caught his eyes and he smiled, and I was like intense inner squealing because a guy finally looked at me. But one of the last weeks before the classes cancellation, I went to leave and sensed someone behind me and held the door open, and I was like him. And I was so proud of myself because I was so feminist then. I was like, yes, reverse gender roles. And the dreams I used to see, I used to have, those were actually demonic. Like, I knew I had God in my life, and at the same time, like, God was drawing me towards himself. At the same time, there was this pull on me towards sinful things, so that was definitely demonic. Jesus saved me from what? Maybe that was my rededication moment. I walked my way back to Jesus, then all the lust I was in, boom, the demons literally manifested, and I was feeding, and they were feeding off of me. And I was like calling for help, and He came. God came. So this is it. And basically, she was like, when she was a child, then at that moment she knew God during her childhood, but she didn't really know it. Like, she wasn't serious, but what does a child know anyway? But then the teenage, uh, like, she grew up and she went into, so she got interested in dark stuff, and she went through a lot of things. But God was there every moment. Like, he was there, and he was just trying to talk to her. And then her desire for Jesus never stopped. A lot of the dark stuff also came in, but eventually God restored her, and he also washed her from all the darkness and all the filth and all the, lust and whatever sin it was that was there present in her life. And earlier, she told me she used to be the kind of friend who would just like, she would look at a girl and with jealousy, and they would kind of like look at her with dead stare, with like anger and jealousy, and she would do the same. But now God had changed her into someone who is like the mom friend of everyone. And God has filled her heart with love, and now she's serious about Jesus. Like, she puts him first. And what else? No matter what comes in and goes out, he's her priority. And all the love that she has been looking for, she found first in him. She found all in him. The story of a girl named Karita, and this is her testimony. She shared with me, and again, today is her birthday. So I wanted to surprise her on her birthday, and obviously God wanted it too. So yeah, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you, sister. And this is your gift. I hope you like it. And God bless you. I love you so much. And keep following Jesus. I'm proud of you. Happy birthday again. And all of you who are watching, the same way God saved her, and He saved me as well. like searching for love in that in the world, in people, in men, and confusing love with other things. And the way God showed his love to her and me, the love that she and I found in God, that we have had been looking for all our lives in ourselves, in other people, in wrong things. The love that rescued us, God who rescued us through Jesus, he extends his hands towards all of you. And come to him, you will find love as well. Like she said, after she rededicated her life to God, after she dedicated her life to God, then she felt alive. We are all born and born. We are born and we live in this world wandering. But the moment a person really comes to Jesus, then they feel alive because he is life. He's the way, the truth, and the life. And the same way, like the way God helped her and me in our mental health. Like there has been so many things that I wasn't aware, but God was. He was the one who brought it out. He was the one who said that I will heal you. He was the one who cared about me more, like first, before I was even aware or cared about myself, like about depression and anxiety and all those things. She has the same, and God cared about our mental health and he healed us from so many things. And if you are struggling with those things, of course, first and foremost, we must acknowledge our sins to God, sins before God, and ask for forgiveness so that He will forgive us and we will enter into this relationship with Him through Jesus. But it's not just that, it's so much more than that. It's a personal relationship with Him, living with Him, loving Him, being loved by Him. He becomes our everything, And the same way He healed both of us, He could heal you. Although, like, God is not promising that He will take away all the pain, but He's gonna be there for you and He cares for you. Whoever you are, He knows you and He loves you and He cares for you. Come to Jesus. And like, despite all the hurt, He knows all your hurt and He knows all the hurt that you might have done to others. You are still welcome. So come to Jesus. I invite you and I encourage you. Thank you for watching.